We're in the Gemara on Daf Yud Ches Amud Aleph, the top line. The Gemara here brings a braisa regarding the order of where things were placed inside the Mishkan. We began with a braisa that was discussing regarding the shulchanos that Shlomo HaMelech built and where they were positioned in the first Beis HaMikdash, on the tzafin side, together with the shulchan that Moshe Rabbeinu built. The Gemara will bring the continuation of that braisa in a moment, but it interjects with another braisa that talks about the order of how things were positioned in the Mishkan. We learned in the braisa how shulchan hayanasan mechatzi abayis v'lifnim. The shulchan was placed on the inside part of the Kodesh. Of course, the Heichal is divided into two parts. There's the Kodesh, where there are the three Kalim of the Shulchan, the Menorah, and the Mizbeach, and then there's the Kodesh HaKadoshim, which has the Aron inside. So in which part of the Kodesh was the Shulchan? It was in the inner half, closer to the Kodesh HaKadoshim. Mashach Mana Kaisel, Beis Amos Mechza. Away from the wall, 2.5 amos. Away from the wall of the Kodesh HaKadoshim, 2.5 amos. Klape at Tzafin, on Tzafin side. As it says clearly in the pasuk that the Shulchan always has to be on Tzafin. U'menorah kenegde b'darim. The menorah was right across of it, over there, at the same position, but on Darim side. Mizbeach hazahav, the Mizbeach hazahav hayanasan be'emtza habayis. And the Mizbeach hazahav was positioned in the middle, between them in the middle, but not exactly in between them, as it will explain. Chaylik es habayis mechatziyai ulufnim, sort of right in the middle between the inner half and the outer half of the Kodesh. Mashuch kima kalape chutz. And it was positioned a little bit more towards the outside. In other words, it wasn't right in between the Menorah and the Shulchan, not to separate between them. They had to be right across of each other. So the Mizbech is in between them, but a little bit further out, so not to separate between them. That's the position of these Kalim in the Beis HaMikdash. Okay. Just to point out a maramakim for this, the Rebbe in the Rishimis HaMenorah talks about Pa'arichis, the significance of the way the Mishkan was set up and the Kalim of each one, why it was where it was, and what it means. Beruch Nisan Yanav. There's a beautiful inyan that the Rebbe explains there, very big arichis, what the Shulchan is on the Tzafin and the Menorah and everything in Avodas Hashem, what it represents. Okay, the Gemara now continues with what we spoke about before in the Braise, where it mentions the Shulchanis that Shlomo HaMelech built, 10 of them. Now it tells you also about the 10 Menorahs that he built. Eser Menorahs Asa Shlomo. 10 Menorahs Shlomo HaMelech built. Shenema Vayas Es Menorahs Azav Esek Mishpatei. He made 10 of them. Vayitem Beheichal Hashem. He brought them inside the Heichal. Hey Miyamin, 5 on the right side. Vehei Mismail, and 5 on the left side. So the Gemara again explains, what does this mean that there were 5 on the left and 5 on the right? In Tamar, if you're going to say Chamesh B'Tzafin, that the 5 on the right means when you enter inside, so it's 5 on the Tzafin side. V'Chamesh B'Darim, and 5 are on the south side, on the left. But you can't say that. V'Haloi Ein HaMenorah Ksheira Ela B'Darim. In the Torah it says regarding the Menorah that it should be only on the Darim side. Shenema V'Samenorah Noichach HaShulchan Al Yerach HaMishkan Teimana. The Menorah is across of the Shulchan on the Darim side. So you can't say that Shlomo HaMelech put part of the Menorahs on the left and part on the right. So what does it mean? Ma Talmud Loima Chamish Mimin V'Chamish Mismail. So this means Ela Chamish Mimin Menorasai Shal Moshe. 5 were on the right side of Moshe Rabbeinu's Menorah, and V'Chamish Mismaila, another 5 on the left side of the Menorah of Moshe. But they were all on Darim side. Now here again there's a machlekes regarding these Menorahs. Afal Pikein, now according to the first opinion, even though they were all there on the Darim side, yet Loihaya Mavir Elo Shal Moshe Bulvad. The only Menorah that was lit was Moshe Rabbeinu's Menorah. The other ones were just there for beauty, like a piece of furniture, but they weren't actually used. Shenema, the pasuk says, "U'menorahs hazahav v'neiroseha levayer be'erev." The menorahs hazav, a singular menorah, one menorah. That was the menorah that was lit every night. Moshe Rabbeinu's menorah. Rabbi Yosi Rabbi Yehuda says, "Al kulan hayam maver." No, all of the 10 menorahs, besides the Moshe Rabbeinu's menorah, were all lit. Similar to Rabbi Yehuda that said regarding the Shulchanis, that they all had the lechem upon them on them. He says here as well, all the menorahs were lit. And he brings the pasuk where it says, "Ves ha-menorahs v'neirosehem levayram kamishpat lefnei hadvir zahav sagur." They were all made. They were all from gold. Okay, so this is clearly here the pasuk says, he uses a plural term, menorah v'neiroseha. They were all lit every single night. It's a pasuk in Divrei Hayamim. Right? Okay. So the Gemara now, so this is the machlekes if all the menaitis were lit or not. Now the Gemara brings a continuation, the next pasuk over there, and explains the next pasuk. V'haperach, v'haneiros, the flowers that were in the menaita, and the neiros, v'hamelkachayim, different utensils that were used for the menaita. Zahavhu, it was all gold. Mechalois zav hein, they consumed the gold. What does it mean? It consumes the gold. Kilu zavai shel Moshe. It consumed the gold of Moshe. Most Mefarshim are not geiris the word Moshe here, rather than instead they're geiris the word Shloimeh. It consumed the gold of Shloimeh Melech. When Shloimeh Melech made these menaitis, these 10 menaitis, out of gold, he used a tremendous amount of gold, and most of the gold got consumed in a fire. As the Gemara here describes what happened, how did it consume all the gold? Tani Rav Yehuda b'Shem Asi, Ha Yeshloimeh Neitel Elef Kikrei Zahav. He took 1,000 kikrim of gold, which is a tremendous amount of gold. Umachnisan lekor, and he put them into the furnace of fire to purify the gold. Umaitzion, and he took out the gold from the fire. Achuma midam al achas, until from these 1,000 kikres of gold, he ended up with just 1 kicker of gold. That's the point of purification of the gold. So like all the gold, that's why the pasuk says that he consumed all those gold in the fire to get pure gold. L'kayim hashanemar kikar zav toir asa oisei. To fulfill this is what it fulfills what it says in the pasuk, and this is benegay to the menorah that Moshe Rabbeinu made, that it's made out of pure gold. So Shloimeh Melech did the same. And the Gemara says, but by Moshe Rabbeinu's menorah, it's not that way. Tanya and Abraisa we learned Amar Rabbi Yossi be Rabbi Yehuda. Maise b'menorah zav shasa Moshe b'midbar. There was a story that they saw in the menorah that Moshe Rabbeinu made in the midbar. Vayisiyisei dinner zav. They saw that even though that menorah is supposed to be made out of 1 kicker of gold, but it had an extra weight of a dinner of gold in it. V'chnisua l'kor shmeinim pam. So they put it into the core, into a furnace of fire to purify it 80 times. And v'loy chasra klum, and none of the gold was consumed in it. In other words, it remained as is. The menorah that Moshe Rabbeinu made was so pure that they put it into the fire and none of it was missing. As the Gemara now says, v'ya'os, and this is true, this is the way it is. Because ad lo yokam al bararye, before the gold is purified, so have a chaser, sagin. The more you put it into the fire, into the furnace, the more it will be lacking. The more gold, it'll keep on decreasing. Min dukayim al brarye, but once it is already pure gold, like Moshe Rabbeinu's menorah, lechasa klum. Even if you put it back into the fire and you want to remove any schmutz that there is, it's not, nothing's going to be missing of it because it's 100% pure already. And that was Moshe Rabbeinu's menorah. Zok the Mishnah, going back again to the beginning of the Perek, where it mentioned another thing that was 13, the 13 sheifares. There were 13 sort of tzedakah boxes that were narrow at the top and wide at the bottom, like a shofar. So what exactly is the function of all these 13 sheifares? Shloish as the sheifares hay b'mikdash v'kosav alein, and on them is written the following. It goes through what they are. Taklin chadatin. There's the shofar for the new Shkalim, the new machzas hashekel for the year. The tiklin atikin. Another one is for the old machzas hashekel, for anybody that did not give machzas hashekel last year. Kinin. Then there's the ones that are brought for the kinin, which are the birds that are brought for the karbanis of a zav and a zava and a yeldis and so on. And the geizlei oila. And then the one, a box that's for the people that put in the money for bringing the birds for a karban oila. Right, so the way it would work in the Beis HaMikdash is the person that had to bring these karbanis would put money into these boxes, and then the kohen would take the money and bring the karbanis for him. Eitzim. Then there was a box that you could donate towards bringing wood in the Beis HaMikdash. Levaina. If you made a neder or a nedavet to bring levaina as a karban mincha, so there's another box for that. Zahav, for those that donated gold. Lekapairis, which was used for the kapairis. And then there was Shisha Linadava. There were another 6 boxes that were for people that wanted to make donations for karbanis. The Gemara will explain why exactly 6 boxes. So here,
basically, they were anonymous.
They were, yeah.
You didn't have to know the name of the person or anything like that.
I guess not. Yeah, they were all put inside in these boxes, and then the kohanim took care of it to bring it for what it had to be brought. So the Mishnah now goes through in detail what each one of these are. So tiklin chadatin, the box for the new machzas hashekel shebechol shana v'shana, for each year, each new year, the machzas hashekel. Va'atikin, the box for the old machzas hashekel Lehevi ishtakit, whoever did not bring machtas hashekel last year, shekel l'shana haba, he gives machtas hashekel into this box the following year. Kinin, the box of the kinin, hein tayrin. These are the boxes for the tayrin, which are the larger birds that are brought for karbanis. The geizlei oila, and the geizlei oila, the one that said that the box in it had the name geizlei oila, hein bnei yaina. And these are the boxes that were brought, that were designated for the doves, the smaller birds. Kulan oilas. Both of these boxes are designated only for karbanis oila, divrei Rabbi Yehuda. So according to Rabbi Yehuda's opinion, the difference between the boxes that it said on it kinin, which are also birds, and the boxes that it said on it geizlei oila, which are birds, is the larger birds, a kinin, and the geizlei oila, the smaller birds. But they're all karbanis oila. That's Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Chachamim say no. The difference is as follows. Kinin is echad chatas ve'echad oila. In that box where it said kinin, so the zav and a zava, a yeldis, they have to bring both a chatas and a oila. So there you put in the money for the chatas and the oila. And geizlei oila, in the box that it said in it, geizlei oila, kulan oilas. That's the box that was only oilas. Now the next box regarding the wood. So you said that there was a box for wood. So here the Mishnah describes what this means. When do you bring wood as a carbon? Person that says, I take upon myself, I donate wood to the Beis HaMikdash, he should bring no less than 2 pieces of wood, which the Gemara will explain how large it has to be. Levaina, person that says he's going to bring levaina for the Beis HaMikdash. He should bring no less than a kaimetz of levaina. This is sort of a fistful of levaina. Zahav, person says he's going to bring gold. Dinar zahav, no less than the coin of a dinar of gold. Shishal and Nedava, now the 6 boxes which were for donations for karbanis. Nedava, ma'haya yisimba, what would they do with these nedavas? Like chimba oilas, they would buy karbanis oila to bring on the mizbeach. Now habasar lashem, the meat, all the parts of the animal, that was all placed on the mizbeach. And va'ayris l'kainim, and then the hide of these animals were given to the kainim. The kainim got rich from this. They had a lot of hides from the animals that they could use for themselves to sell and so on. The kainim got all the hides of these animals. Zeh medrash darish yahayada kain gadol, yahayada kain gadol. Darshan, the following pasuk, where you see this, that there was these oilas that were brought to the Beis HaMikdash and they were all burnt in the mizbeach besides the hides that go to the kainim. So which pasuk did he darshan for this? Asham hu, asham lashem. So this is an asham, a carbon asham, and then it says asham lashem. So as the Mefarshim here explain, the problem with this pasuk is when it says asham hu, what's the halacha of an asham? An asham is a carbon that part of it goes to the Eibishter, and part of it could be eaten by the kainim. That's the beginning of the pasuk. And then in the end of the pasuk it says Asham la Hashem, that it goes to the Eibishter. So it sounds like it all goes to the Eibishter. You can't eat any of it. So therefore, Yahiyah the Kohen Gadol darshan this pasuk as follows: Zeh aklal, this is the rule. Kol shu ba mishum chatos umishum ashma. When you had money that was designated for carbon chatos or for carbon asham, and it was leftovers. This is the leftovers of a chatos and an asham. That's what this pasuk is talking about. Yilakach pehen oilis. So take that leftover money and buy from it a carbon oila. So what happens with a carbon oila? Habasar lashem. All the basar of a carbon oila is burnt on the mizbeach for the Eibishter. That's why it says in the pasuk Asham lashem. And the hides of these animals go to the kainim. And that's the beginning of the pasuk, which says Asham hu, meaning that it's like a carbon asham where it goes to the kainim. So both parts of the pasuk make sense. Asham lashem, the carbon oila that you buy, so there's all the flesh and all the parts that go on the mizbeach, and v'asham lakayin, and there's also this part of this asham that goes to the kayin, which are the hides of the animal. This is what Yayada Kain Gadol darshan, and the same thing is also with all the carbon oilas that were brought as a donation for the mizbeach. It all got burnt on the mizbeach besides the hides of the animals that the kainim got. And a similar we find in another pasuk, Va'aymer, there's a pasuk that says, Kesef Asham, the Kesef Chatos, the leftover monies of a Asham, or the leftover monies of a Chatos, Lo Yuva Beis Hashem, should not be brought to the Eibishter, La Kainim Yu, it should go to the Kainim. So this pasuk is very difficult to understand. Any money that was designated for a carbon has to be used to buy a carbon oila to bring as a carbon. How could the pasuk say, La Kainim Yu, that it goes to the Kainim? It doesn't go to the Kainim, it goes to the Mizbeach. Elamai, the pshat is, it is brought as an oila, but the hides of those animals go to the kainim. The kainim had a tremendous benefit of all of these donations. These donations, they became rich of them, as I mentioned, from all the hides that went to the Kayanim. And that's what the pasuk here means when it says, La Kayanim Yiyu. Sagt the Gemara, Tanya, we learned in the Braisa. The Gemara here will now explain this machlokes that we had before regarding 2 boxes. There were 2 boxes for the birds. So Rabbi Yehuda said that these 2 boxes were all designated for the birds of Karbanis Oyla. We did not want to mix into there any money that was going to be used for a Karban Chatos. Chachamim say no, there were the boxes for the Zavim and the Zavais and the Yoldis. It was for the Oyla and the Chatas together. So the Gemara now explains Rabbi Yehuda's opinion. Why do we not want to put in the money for the Karban Chatas that you have to bring? So Amar Rav Yehuda said, Lehoya Sheifer Shal Kinin b'Yerushalayim. They did not have in these Sheifer for the Kinin in Yerushalayim. The Kinin is the Chatas and the Oyla that has to be brought together. You could not place inside the money for the Chatas. Why not? Mipnei Hataruvos. Because they don't want the money of a Chatas to be mixed inside in it. Shema Tomos Achas. What happens if one of the owners of this Karban Chatas will pass away? V'nimtzu d'mei chatois meisais mu'ravis behen. So now you'll have money of this person that donated a Karban Chatas and he died, and that money is mixed inside. What's the halacha of a Karban Chatas of somebody that died that's inside? You have to leave that carbon. That money cannot be used for a carbon in the Mizbeach. A Chatas Sameah has to be left to die. You can't do anything with it. So here's the problem. Let's say you have 25 people in any particular day in the Beis HaMikdash that are donating money for the Chatois of that day. They all put money inside this one box. One of those people passed away. So now, it mixed inside over there, you have money of a Chatas HaMesa, the money that's not supposed to be brought into the Beis HaMikdash, along with the other money that has to be brought. So what are you going to do? You don't know which one it is. You don't know which money it is. And you can't bring anything to the Beis HaMikdash. So therefore, they never put inside the money of a chatos together with the rest of the money. This is specifically by a chatos, that if the owner dies, you can't bring it as a carbon. That by other karbanos, it's not that way. You can still bring it as a carbon. So therefore, with the money of the carbon chatos, you have to give directly into the hands of the kayin, so it shouldn't be anonymous. You should know whose money it is. So if someone dies, so then that money will not be used. So it can't be mixed in with everything else. The Gemara asks him this, but there's another Braise where Rabbi Yehuda seems to clearly be saying that no, they did mix the money of the Karban Chatas together. But Vatanya, we learned in the Braise where it says, Ha'isha Shamra Rea like Cain, a woman that says, I take upon myself to bring a Cain, which includes a Chatas and a Naila. Maybe the May Cain, she brings the money for this Chatas and Naila. V'nais Nasa b'Shefer, she places it inside of one of these tzedakah boxes. Vaycheles bekotchim, and once she placed it inside there, she could rely on the kainim that they're going to bring the carbon, and that night she can go and eat kotchim. Ve'ena chesheshes, that is, she's not concerned. Shemon is atzel behen, maybe the kainim were lazy. Ve'ena kayin cheshesh, shema dmei chatois meises muravis behen, and so too the kayin does not have to be concerned. I don't know who it is that put the money inside. How do I know if they're still alive? Maybe that woman that made this donation passed away. Maybe I shouldn't bring the carbon. No, the Kayan does not have to be concerned about that, and the woman does not have to be concerned about her carbon. It was definitely brought on time. So what do we see over here? That clearly, that this Braisa says that we're not concerned about this issue of a person donating and then passing away, and then there's money going to be mixed inside. So the Gemara answers, Ki kamrinon b'chatois shemesu baleim vadai. What we were saying before is that lichatchila, you should not place the money that's going to go for your chatos inside this box, because we're concerned what's going to be if this actually happens. If it actually happens that one person dies, so then everything else inside is mixed in together. So lichatchila, you shouldn't do this because we're concerned if this will actually happen. But bidi evet, if you did go ahead and put your money inside the box over there, so then this woman that put her money inside relies on the kain that he's going to bring the carbon, and the kain does not have to be concerned that this woman died, and therefore everything is good. So there's a difference basically between lechatchila and b'diavad. But now the Gemara clarifies another point. What are we saying over here? That you have money that is placed inside this box, and you're concerned that one person died, and now you have his money mixed in together with everything else. So says the Gemara, now if we're going to say nivroir dalet zuzi, so take out 4 zuzim, the value of one carbon chatos, because one person, you're concerned that one person died. So take out the money for that person, finishti benara, throw that money away into the river, and ve'edach lishteru. And the rest, we'll say, is good for the people that could be brought for them. So if you're concerned that one person is dying, so then just remove that amount of money. Says the Gemara, we can't do that. We say in other places, Rabbi Yehuda lesle breire. Rabbi Yehuda does not hold to the concept of breire, which means that we're going to say that retroactively it's clarified that the money that was thrown out belonged to that person that threw the money inside. You don't know which money is that money of the person that he threw it inside.
He was anonymous anyway.
Correct, right. So the money was all mixed in together. So now if you hold of the concept of breire means once I remove that money and I throw it out, so I say retroactively, I see that this money that was thrown out belonged to that person that died. But Rabbi Yehuda doesn't hold to the concept of breire. And that's the reason why Rabbi Yehuda says that you can't mix the money of the chatois together. Whereas the Chachamim in the Mishnah that say that you could mix them together holds yesh breire. If you're concerned that someone died, so then or if you know that someone actually died, take out the money and throw out one part of that person, and that's it. And the rest you can use for a carbon.
Maybe two died.
So l'chayre, right? So no, in a chanami, but l'chayre, according to the maskan of the Gemara, if it's a chashash of Shema, we're not chayshish for that. We're not chayshish Shema, right? In the beginning it said Shema, but now in the end the Gemara is saying, if you actually find out for sure that one person died, then we say, oh, now it becomes a problem. We don't want you to put the money lechatchila into this bags, because that might happen, that you're going to find out that someone actually died. But we're not stam chayshish that maybe someone died and we don't know that he died. If you find out for sure that one person died, then you'll have to take the money out according to the Rabbanon, and the rest could be used. Okay, now going on to another thing that was mentioned in the Mishnah about donating wood for the Mizbeach. Rabbi Yosi Beira Bun, Amar Rabbi Bar Mamel, Boy Bar Mamel asked the following question. Amar Harei Alai Eitz. A person says, I take upon myself I'm going to donate wood to the Beis HaMikdash. So usually when a person, the lashon that we said before, it was eitzim, plural, which means a person takes upon himself, he brings 2 pieces of wood. But what happens if a person says he's going to bring upon himself wood, using a singular term, eitz? So maybe gizar echad, you bring 1 piece of wood. Amar Rab Lazar masnita amrekein. I can see this from the following Mishnah. Shezeh carbon b'fnei atzmai, v'zeh carbon b'fnei atzmai. When you say, you make a donation to bring wood, plural, so then you bring 2 pieces of wood, it's like 2 karbanis. So if you say 1 piece of wood, so then that's like 1 carbon. Kaha, the taninan taman, like a Mishnah that we have in Masechta Yuma. So it says there, the amount of people that would be involved in bringing the carbon tamid every day. So I think it was 11 people. And then it says 2 of them, shnayim biyadam shnei gizrei eitzim. 2 of them had each one a piece of wood that they would bring on the mizbeach to burn the carbon oila. Carbon Larabis eseitzim. So each one they were like a separate carbon. That's marba the eitzim. Each one of these eitzim is like a separate carbon. So if you said that you're making a donation for an eitz, so you bring 1 piece of wood. Now the Gemara explains how large were these pieces of wood. Rabbi Shua ben Levi Omar, Oivyon Amma, the thickness was an Amma, but Amma Seichakai. So it had to be in more of a spread out Amma, like a bigger Amma. The Ammas are made up of tfachim, so you can have a tefach, a very, very exact tefach, or a tefach which is more, your hands are more spread out. And va'orkam ba'ama, the length of this piece of wood is also Amma, ba'ama geduma, a more exact, precise Amma, smaller Amma. Rab Chaini, b'shem Rab Ami says, no, it was more like a square. Kimin tortani. The length and the width was the same, similar to a piece of wood that's used for a scale. Amar Rab Shmuel. So now the Gemara explains why exactly was the length an Amma. Amar Rab Shmuel bar Rav Yitzchak. Lefi shleihoya makim amaracha ela Amma al Amma. The place of the maracha, the place where the fire is on the Beis HaMikdash, on the Mizbeach, is 1 Amma by 1 Amma. So lefichach lehoya by ela Amma geduma. So therefore, the Amma, the wood that you donate for the Mizbeach is exactly an Amma. And he brings here in a Braisa where he explains this, based on the size of the Mizbeach that there was in the Midbar that Moshe Rabbeinu made. Tani came, we learned so in a Braisa, the Mizbeach was 5 Amas by 5 Amas. So now Amma HaYesaid, 1 Amma is the foundation of the Mizbeach. Amma, then going in, another Amma was a Seiviv. There was a Seiviv that surrounded, went around the Mizbeach. Amma Karkov, another Amma the Karkov, which is a place where the Kainim walked on. And Va'amma Kronis, another Amas was the corners of the Mizbeach at the top. And then Va'amma Maracha. in the center of the Mizbeach at the top, it was only an amma by an amma for the place where the fire was to burn the Mizbeach. This is the amma of the Mizbeach of Moshe Rabbeinu in the Midbar. So therefore that was the space for where the fire was, so therefore the wood that you donate has to be that exact size. The next thing that was mentioned in the Mishnah was the levaina. If you donate a levaina, so how much does the levaina have to be? Lo yifchais mekayim. It's not less than a fistful. What's the source for this? Nema kan azkara. By a carbon mincha, the levaina, it uses the expression of azkara. The nema la'alon, by the lechem aponim, it says azkara. It also uses the term azkara. Ma azkara amuru la'alon, just like the term azkara by the lechem aponim. Meloi kaimitz, the levaina that was used by the lechem aponim was a kaimitz. Af azkara amura hamakan meloi kaimitz. So too the azkara that it says by a person that donates a mincha of levaina, it's also a kaimitz. But the Gemara asks, if so, Yima Askara Amura La'alon. So just like the Askara that it says by the Levaina of the Lechem Aponim, Shnei Kaimtzin. There was actually 2 Kaimtzin, because there was 2 Levainas for the 6 breads on one side and the 6 breads on the other side. Av Askara Amura Kan Shnei Kaimtzin. So over here as well, I should say that you need 2 Kaimtzin if you're donating a Levaina to the Beis HaMikdash. So the Gemara says, no. Amarab Ila, Klum Lomdu LeKaimitz. What's the source for the amount of kaimitz by the lechem aponim? Ela mi minchas chayte. The source by lechem aponim itself comes from the pasuk by minchas chayte, where it says the term kaimitz over there. So over there, that's really the source from minchas chayte. So mala along kaimitz, so just like over there by the minchas chayte, it's only 1 kaimitz. So too, the donation of levaina that a person brings into the Beis HaMikdash has to be only 1 kaimitz. And now the Gemara brings other details for this halacha of this kaimitz. Hachaser mala alon kaimitz hachaser pasul. So just like over there, it has to be a full kaimitz. If it's missing a drop from this kaimitz, it's going to be pasul. Afkan kaimitz hachaser pasul. If you donate levaina and it's missing a drop from this kaimitz, it's going to be pasul. Another thing you learn out from here, Amar Rabbi Yasi, Milsa de Rabbi Ila Amra, based on what Rabbi Ila said, I can learn out, Hamisnadav Levaina. So if you bring a donation of Levaina, Mevia bekumtzai shal kayin gadol. It has to be the size of the fist of the kayin gadol. Right? Just like by the lechem aponim. Who's the one that measures the kaimitz of the levaina by the lechem aponim? It's the kayin gadol. So too, when you're bringing a levaina, a kaimitz of levaina can't be your fistful, it has to be the fistful of the kayin gadol. But Rabbi Loi b'shem Rabbi Lazar and Rabbi Chizkiya b'shem Rabbi Yirmiyah argues and says, no, afila b'kaimitz abaylim. It could be the size of the kaimitz of the owner that's bringing the carbon. It does not have to be the size of the kaimitz of the kayin gadol. The next thing is said of the Mishnah is zahav le'yifchais. It shouldn't be less than a dinner of gold. Amar Rabbi Lazar v'hu shehisker tsura. That's only if when you said you're donating gold, you use the term tsura, which is a coin. Avalom lehisker tsura. If you did not mention the tsura, which is the coin that has a image on it, so then you don't have to bring a coin. You don't have to bring a dinner. Afilat tzinaira. You can bring a small utensil. You can bring like a little gold fork, and that would be good enough to fulfill your donation. The next thing it said in the Mishnah was the 6 boxes. Shisha l'nedava. There were 6 boxes for donations. So why 6? So there's 4 opinions here. Why the number 6? So Rav Amar Chizkiya said, Keneged Shisha Batei Avis. There was 6 Batei Avis in each mishmar. Each mishmar for every week was divided into 6, and each one served another day of the week. So for each day of the week, they had 6 different boxes. So like this, each day the Kainim got from that box, there was a benefit for the Kainim. They brought it as karbanis, and then they took the hides for themselves. So 6 for each day of the week, for each group of the Kainim to have for their family the hides. There were 6 different boxes where you donated various different amounts for different sizes, different animals. Par, an ox, ve'egel, a calf, a soir, ve'ayel, gedi, tle, all these different animals with different amounts, and these were the different boxes for the donations. Shmuel, Lama Shmuel says, Keneged Shisha Karbanis, corresponds 6 different kinds of karbanis where you have leftovers from monies of those karbanis that were placed into different boxes. There's the kinim zavim, the kinei zavis, the kinei yeldis, chatois, va'ashamais, that's 3, 4, and hamenachais, va'asiris ha'ifos. These are the leftovers of these 6 different karbanis that were placed into these 6 boxes. Rabbi Yechanan says another reason why they had to have 6 boxes. He doesn't say exactly why 6, but why you had to have so many different boxes for the donations. Al Yedei Shanadavis Meruba, because there was a lot of donations every day in the Beis HaMikdash. There was a lot of money that was being donated. Ribula Shayfris Harbor. So they had a lot of different boxes. So like this, the money, if it would all be in one box, so the money at the bottom of the box will always remain there. It'll never be taken out. So like this, it was divided into 6 different boxes. So like this, the money of all the boxes were taken out. The Gemara, in connection to these boxes here, so it brings a pasuk that's Divrei Hayamim, a pasuk in Divrei Hayamim about Yehoyada Kohen Gadol, which was brought in the Mishnah, Yehoyada Kohen Gadol, that to darshan this inyan. So it brings you about what he did with these boxes over there in the Beis Hamikdash. So Ksiv, in one pasuk it says, Kechaloisam heviu lifnei hamelech v'Yehoyada. So if you look at the side of the Gemara, the conclusion of that pasuk, so it says that there was the boxes that they had over there, and where were these boxes? They placed them in the Beis Hamikdash. What did they do with the money that's in the leftovers of these boxes that Yehoyada Kohen Gadol placed there? Vayasam kelim lebeis Hashem kli sharis. It was made as kli sharis. And where were these boxes placed? These boxes were placed at the entrance of the Azara. That's what it says there in the pasuk. Okay, so as we'll see in the continuation of the Gemara is really very bekitza here, but the Gemara is really asking a contradiction, because there's another pasuk the Gemara brings later on the next Amud, right over here, where it says in Divrei Hayamim that they made a box and it was placed near the Mizbeach. It wasn't placed at the entrance. It was placed near the Mizbeach. And what would they do with it? So if you look, it's a pasuk in Malachim. It's an Eis Beis on the next page. What would they do with the money of that box that was placed near the Mizbeach? They used it for the building fund, for the Bedek Habayis, for the Beis Hamikdash. So the Gemara really has 2 questions here. First of all, here it says that there were these boxes that were placed at the entrance of the Azara. And what does it say? What was the money used for? For Kli Sharis, to make the Kalim of the Beis Hamikdash. And then there's another pasuk where it says that there was a box near the Mizbeach where people would donate money, and it was used for the Bedek Habayis, for the building fund of the Beis Hamikdash. That's the question the Gemara is addressing here. So there's two opinions about this. Rab Shimon bar Nachman, b'shem Rabbi Yonasan Amar, shtei nedavei sasa. There were 2 different boxes. Yehoyada Kohen Gadol, he made these 2 different boxes that were used for 2 different purposes. One at the entrance of the Azara, for the Kli Sharis, and one near the Mizbeach, which was used for the Bedek Habayis. Another opinion, Tana de Rabbi Shmuel, Nedava Achas, it was all really one donation, one box. Tichsev, Vayema Melech, Vayasu, Orain Echad, there was one box they made, Vayitneu Behechel Beis Hashem, and they placed it inside by the Heichel. Vayikav Chor Bedaltoi, and they made an opening in this box. And so there was really only one box. Now, this that it says in the other pasuk, Vayemer HaMelech Vayasu Orain Echad Vayitneu B'shar Beis Hashem Chutza, that they placed it outside, that the box was placed outside at the entrance. So here it says that it was outside. So he says, no, it was really all one box. But the answer is, Amar Rav Chuna, Mipnei Yatmeim. The box was inside. But for the people that were Tamei, that couldn't enter inside, so if they wanted to donate, they took the box outside to the entrance for the Tamei people to be able to put money into this box. Now, as far as what they used from the money of this box, so in one place it says they use it for the Bedek Habayis, and another place it says they use it for the Kli Sharis. So Rab Chia b'shem Rab Yosef said, Ach lo yase beis Hashem sipois kesef mizamres v'geimer. The money was used for the Bedek Habayis, for the building fund of the Beis Hamikdash. But whatever money they didn't need for the building fund, the leftovers was used for Kli Sharis, to build the kes of the different things that they needed for the Kli Sharis of the Beis Hamikdash. Adron Allah Perik et Gimel Shayfris. This is the conclusion of the 6th Perik of Masechta Shkalim.